What if the way children learn to think about food at age 3 quietly shapes their health for decades to come?
And what if caring for our bodies is less about weight and more about understanding how our bodies actually work?
Welcome back to Big Little Lessons. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Kristine.
Today, we're honored to be joined by Dr. Mona Misra.
Dr. Mona Misra is a board-certified, fellowship-trained bariatric and advanced laparoscopic surgeon who has performed more than 5,000 bariatric, advanced laparoscopic, and endoscopic procedures. She currently serves as Associate Director of the Bariatric Program at Cedars-Sinai Marina Hospital and is actively involved with the Bariatric Program at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. She is also the Director of the Bariatric Program at Beverly Hills Physician.
Dr. Misra is on the Board of Directors for the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery and serves as an expert accreditation site surveyor from the American College of Surgeons. She completed her fellowship in advanced, minimally invasive, and bariatric surgery at Cedars-Sinai in 2005 and has presented research both nationally and internationally on advanced laparoscopic and metabolic surgery.
So impressive.
Woo!
Her work has been recognized with multiple honors, including the Top Doctor Award from 2018 through 2026, as well as the Woman of Distinction Award.
But what truly stands out is her deep commitment to treating obesity as a complex, chronic disease and her dedication to helping each patient find a safe, personalized path towards lifelong health.
We are so honored to have you here today with us. Welcome. Can we call you Mona?
Yes, please.
Welcome, Mona.
Thank you. It is my honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, we're delighted to have you. So, Mona, what is your earliest school memory?
I think I can remember back to around grade 1, just really loving my teacher. And I remember I used to make her paper flowers, I guess just to make her day a little bit nicer. I don't know why I didn't pick them. Maybe we had weeds in the playground. I don't know, but I used to make her paper ones.
That's hilarious. The paper ones, was it like an origami?
No, it was just like I would color with the crayons or pencil crayons and draw a flower and then cut it out and then hand it to her. And she would always just seem so happy to have it.
I think teachers do appreciate, because it comes from the heart. I know that's always so meaningful for us as teachers is to receive a hand-drawn card. It's so heartfelt. So I'm sure you made your teacher's day every time you presented her with drawing.
I love when students make things for me. And I think it makes them feel really good, too, when the teacher acknowledges them, right?
Yeah. I'm sure you guys get things all the time. You're both amazing, outstanding teachers. So
Thank you.
We treasure them, for sure.
So you come from a remarkable family of physicians. Can you tell us a little bit about growing up in that environment?
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, there were some high expectations growing up. My father trained as a plastic surgeon. My uncle is an anesthesiologist. My aunt is a gynecologist. My grandfather was a doctor. His father was a doctor. My sister is a doctor. She's an infertility specialist. So it definitely runs in the family.
In my family, I have 0 doctors. So this is all brand new for me. Good job.
Well, we weren't expected to definitely go into medicine, but education was a priority. Like I remember in grade 2, getting 98% on something and showing my dad saying, look, I got 98%. And he was like, where's the other 2%?
Whoa.
So there was a lot of pressure.
Did it feel defeating or encouraging?
More encouraging. I think he just felt like, you can do more. You just need to apply yourself. And I think that helped probably shape who I am and what I am today is knowing that I can do it if I just apply myself. So that's how I took it.
That's great because I think that's the sweet spot. You want to be encouraged, not crushed. So it sounds like it was done with a lot of love. And clearly it motivated you to become who you are today.
I think so, yeah.
You were interested in many things growing up. Can you share a little bit about what are the things that you enjoyed doing?
Well, I had a lot of interests, singing and dancing and all that kind of stuff. But our environment was really growing up about education. It was the most important thing. We were encouraged to do medicine or law or engineering, some type of path was sort of where our career was guided towards. So I was naturally drawn toward helping others. And as I got older, I was fascinated by how the human body works. And science and math were my favorite subjects. And I wasn't sure where exactly in medicine I wanted to go into, but I knew medicine was sort of the right path for me. I liked connecting with people. I wanted a career where I could make a difference in someone's life. And so I spent a lot of time volunteering and seeing medicine up close to see what it was really like. And that just solidified it for me. I knew this is what I wanted to do with my life.
How old were you when you kind of knew this is the path that I want to take?
Probably around grade 10 is roughly when it was. Somewhere in my high school years is when I realized, because I actually got into medical school 2 years after getting into university. I was 19 when I got into medical school.
Wait, how did that happen?
Where I was growing up, they accepted in a class of 60 about 3 people who were not fully finished a degree. So you could go in a little earlier, you could apply a little earlier. So almost everyone else in my class had anatomy degrees and physiology degrees and were physiotherapists and whatnot. And I was 2 years out. But I knew it was what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I loved it. And so I'd spent a lot of time. I was dedicated, but it was quick. It was early.
That is incredible.
Was that here in the United States?
No, I think in the US they have 6-year programs but I was in Canada. I was born in Canada. I grew up in Canada. So it was
Okay. So at 19, you're accepted into medical school.
few people are. Yeah.
Just
And some. Yeah.
I would say less than 1%.
Very few.
Seriously, it's like this is a Doogie Howser situation.
Yeah. How did that application process go? I mean, did you have to write essays or? Okay.
It's exactly like any application for medical school. They look at your grades. They do an interview. The whole works here. MCAT.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we were talking to you earlier, you shared that you truly fell in love with the operating room. And when you talk about it, you just light up like it's the best place to be, which is so incredible. What is it about that space that feels so meaningful to you?
I guess it was the instant gratification of it all. We rotate through the different specialties in medical school. And during my surgery rotation, I just knew this is what was for me. The ability to diagnose a problem and then fix it with your own 2 hands. There's just something incredibly powerful about that. To know there's a patient that's going to be better because of something that you directly did. It's hard to put into words how meaningful that is. And so even when there's really, really tough days, like you've been operating all night, at times, that patient would have been alive if you weren't there. So it doesn't get old. It's humbling and deeply fulfilling. So when I'm there, like everything else fades away. When I'm in the operating room, I'm focused, I'm calm, I'm at peace. It's my happy place.
Do you have a practice of preparing for the operating room?
Like a routine?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it. It's been 22 years now. So the night before, you kind of run through what you're going to do. And afterwards, once I'm done the operation, I come back. And especially earlier on, when I first started my practice, I would think about what can I do to be better, faster, more efficient? And it just gets incorporated into the next case. And so I'm at that point where I'm very comfortable pretty much doing anything. So, but no, I don't have like a song I sing.
Yeah.
A meditation, a prayer.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Well, your patients are so lucky to have you.
Yeah. On average, how many operations do you perform a week? Or does it come and go in seasons?
It depends. I would say somewhere around like 10 a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long are the surgeries usually?
It depends what I'm doing. So if it's something like endoscopic, it can be 10, 15, 20 minutes. If it's big laparoscopic surgeries or robotic surgeries, most of them are pretty straightforward. I'm an hour and a half. Really complicated surgeries might be up to 2.5, 3 hours. So
Okay. It's physical.
Intense.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is physical.
Yeah.
And you're in so laser focused the entire time.
Yeah, but it's like I said, this is all you're thinking about, and it's amazing. You're in the zone. You're very zen, very happy to be there. And when you're done, you're like, wow, that was fantastic. I believe we were able to do that.
One thing we really appreciated when we spoke to you was about your honesty about your passion for your work and family. And then you're also managing multiple offices and recognizing you don't have to be great at everything, which I found so reassuring because getting to know you, I'm like, wow, what can she not do? And you joke that you might not be able to make soup, but you're good at reading the soup labels. Can you talk about how you've learned to focus on what matters most and let the pressure to do it all? How have you let that go?
So that's something I actively work on every single day. So it's really easy to fall into the trap of trying to be perfect at everything, the perfect surgeon, the perfect mom, the perfect partner, the perfect friend. And the truth is that standard isn't realistic. I've learned to let go of that and be more intentional about where I put my energy. So for me, it comes down to choosing my battles. There's certain things that are non-negotiable. I have to show up and be my best every day in the operating room. That's something I take seriously. But beyond that, I've accepted that I just can't do everything. There are just not enough hours in the day, and it's okay. So I'm not a great cook. Definitely not. I made peace with that. I'm not the person growing a garden and making soup from scratch, but my soup does come from a can. But I do know that it's something healthy and thoughtful for the family. And a part of me does wish that I could take a cooking class and be really good at cooking. And my husband laughs and tells me that, it's like organic chemistry. I could do it, but I don't enjoy it. And I'd rather spend my time with my son trying to get better at Mario Kart. So the same thing goes for like taking care of myself. I don't have time for the gym, a big routine. So I just try and be creative to find ways to stay active, putting sneakers or runners in my trunk of my car. So in between operating room cases, I'll go for a walk or grab a Pilates class. Or, when I'm wanting to spend time with friends, I will, instead of going for lunch or coffee, we go for a hike or a walk. And so it's just being flexible and intentional. And I guess one of the biggest lessons I learned is that when you say yes to everything, even things that you don't really want to do, you're saying no to things that you do really want to do and the things that matter, because there's just not enough time. So I focus on my priorities to be present where it counts. And I give myself permission not to be perfect. And my family and close friends are what matter most to me. So that's where I want to spend my time and energy. And that's what I do.
I need to hear this over and over and over again.
I completely agree. This is such an important message for everyone, for busy parents. Everyone is juggling, for people, not just parents. We're all juggling so many roles and so many things. And we all need to remind ourselves of these things. So really relevant.
Letting go of the things that maybe aren't calling you and focusing on what really matters to you.
I mean, you guys are very driven people and you excel at everything you do. So I can see that. I think when you have that personality, you want to be amazing at everything you do. Mm-hmm. But it's figuring out what's most important to you and giving yourself some grace.
Yes. And being flexible, like you said.
And also enjoying what you do. Like if you don't enjoy cooking, don't cook. And if you don't enjoy yoga, don't do yoga.
Yeah.
I wish I could cook like you. You're amazing.
I love it. The kitchen is my operating.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I feel like that's your operating room. It's a science of sorts.
What's yours, Jenny? What's your thing? What do you love?
I do love crocheting. I love being with people. So I have a lot of circles of friends that I love to be with, and I love reading books. So that to me is my happy place, is getting together with a circle of friends to talk about books is really a joy for me. And so it's fun. It's a great excuse to get together.
I want to join your book club.
Okay, good. I've got a list of books for you to read in all your free time. Oh, well, it's so refreshing to hear your perspective. And it really connects to how you approach helping patients focus on sustainable, realistic changes. So let's talk about how you view obesity and metabolic health.
Can you define metabolic health? Because I don't really know what that means.
So we think about obesity as an energy storage disease. So there's just so much bias and stigma around obesity that just comes from the misconception that it's about willpower or choice, and it's not. It's a real complex chronic disease. And basically it comes down to how the body handles energy, how we store calories, how we burn them, and how those systems are regulated at a cellular level. It's called thermogenesis so hormones, metabolism, genetics, environment, all of these play a role. So it's not just as simple as eat less and move more. And more importantly, I would say, is that it's not someone's fault. There are many factors that lead to someone developing obesity, which is not fully in their control. So we tend to judge people with obesity in a way that we would never judge someone with high blood pressure or diabetes. And that double standard needs to change. I see this every day in my patients. Many of them have lost a significant amount of weight, sometimes hundreds of pounds. So they'll lose 100, gain back 70, lose another 100, they gain back 50. And it's not from a lack of effort, it's biology pushing back. And we've known for years that diet and exercise alone are not enough, yet people are told to just try harder. And the reality is their bodies are working against them. Their feedback mechanisms are driving hunger, slowing metabolism, making it incredibly difficult to sustain weight loss. So even carrying an extra 50 pounds, imagine walking around all day with a fully packed suitcase on your back. Every step is harder. Every movement takes more effort. So this energy storage disease, it's a physiologic condition, not a personal failure. And it deserves that same understanding and respect and medical treatment that any other chronic disease requires.
I've noticed that in my journey through life. I have some friends who have battled with obesity, and the amount of comments and criticism to their face that I've witnessed is just jaw-dropping. And I've always had a heart because I know how much they've tried. And the stigma is really real. And I think it still continues. And I don't know how we can... I feel like there's a lot of talk about with the changes of the GLP-1s and options for surgeries, but...
Yes. It's what you're doing now. It's education. It's getting that information out there so people understand a little bit more about this disease and even calling it a disease. So that is really a big part of it. And I love that your support and kindness and empathy, helps your friends because they're struggling.
It is. And it seems like the obesity rate keeps going up and up and up. I'm sure you have a lot to say about the food industry.
Yes. And you touched on this a little bit. I think the GLP-1s is a wonderful thing that has really brought that conversation to the forefront that, so many people are struggling with this disease. And so I'm really glad that they have come out and people are embracing them. Wonderful drugs. And it might be right for you. It might not. This is where getting that information out there is just really important and reaching out to the right professionals to help you, guide you in what's the best thing for you.
Yeah.
I wondered, because I've known you and I see you on a regular basis, and I thought, I wonder how this is impacting your profession, because what you do is you're helping people, and now is it taking away some of people that would get surgery?
I think, again, it's education. So when it's framed as you can either have surgery or you can do a drug and it's the same, it's not the same, right? So the drugs are great, and for some people it's a good idea. But if you look at the data, again, education matters. If they're claiming 15, 20% total body weight loss, if you are 300 pounds, you're looking at 45, 60 pounds. So if 240 isn't your goal number, you're not going to do or reach that goal you're trying to reach with the medications. And the other issue is that the medications, because this is a disease, once you take the medications, you can't stop and expect the weight to stay off. Just like high blood pressure, you start a medication, your blood pressure goes to normal. You don't stop the medication or your blood pressure goes back up. So same thing with weight, right? So if you lose the weight with the medication, you stop the medication, the weight is going to come back. So you need to be on it lifelong. So I think people understanding that will help them, but just even getting them moving towards getting treatment for the obesity instead of just saying, oh, diet and exercise again. This is where the drugs have been such an amazing thing. 18% of the American population has tried a GLP-1, which is fantastic, right?
That
because
is.
we as surgeons were accessing maybe less than 1% of people who needed surgery are getting surgery. So I'm hoping that with this awareness and understanding, more people will reach for the appropriate treatment for them. And hopefully that will be for some surgery because it's so safe. It's safer than gallbladder surgery and effective, right? So people just need to understand what are their options and what's the right thing for them. But having that conversation is the first step.
Can you tell us a little bit like how you decide? Do you always present a bunch of options and let them decide?
So the first thing is just talking to them and finding out what their journey has been, what it's been like for them, what are their concerns. You get a full medical history. What medications are they on? So just a normal consultation that way, as most doctors do. And then, yes, we look at all the options for them. So we tell them risks, benefits, alternatives, potential complications for all of them. Medications, surgery, endoscopic procedures. There's a lot of options out there. And then together, knowing what the potential outcomes will be for them, we decide what's the right fit for them. Because I tell them, my job's easy. I just operate. You have to live with whatever I do to you. So you have to be ready to commit to those behavior changes and lifestyle changes. So if they're able to embrace that and make those changes, they will be very successful.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, for those patients who've been battling weight issues for a long time, and maybe they've had the laparoscopy, I don't know if I'm going to say the words right.
Laparoscopic, yeah.
Yes, thank you. And they've maintained some weight loss, but some weight comes back.
Yes.
Would they want to consider going down different options?
So again, consultation is really important because sometimes medications can help afterwards. Sometimes there's actually an anatomic problem that needs a revisional surgery. So we actually are seeing obesity, the disease of obesity, like cancer treatment, right? So there is remission, there is recurrence. Sometimes you need medications, sometimes you need surgery, sometimes you need both. It is a complex chronic disease. And this is why it's not just something you did wrong. If you had surgery and the weight's coming back, you may need actually more help. You may need something more powerful, a more powerful surgery. So we don't know how your disease is affecting your body. And that's why we start with one treatment plan. And if they need to pivot, we pivot. So they need to go and talk to their doctor.
So besides all this medical support, I'm curious too, is there therapy support for these patients? Is it something that is required or recommended?
Absolutely. With every consultation, when we move towards our surgical treatment especially, they meet with dietitians, they meet with psychologists. Those are mandatory because...
Oh, they're mandatory.
Yeah. We want to make sure that they are fully supported as a whole person to make sure that we have dealt with their issues of what are their coping mechanisms. If they normally reach for food and I'm taking that away, we want to make sure that they have other healthy alternatives available to them.
Yeah, I think about when Kristine and I have done Sober Curiosity. It's like they say, if you're used to having that glass or two of wine and you're going to stop drinking, you want to replace it with something. So they'll say mindfulness or going to exercise or reading a book or watching a TV program. Is that the kind of what you do with your practice?
Exactly. Yeah.
Replacing it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you need to find other ways because you're still going to run into those issues in life.
It's behavior. It's training. Yeah.
Correct.
And I think that's the hardest part with food. You have to eat. You can't just say, well, I'll never eat again. It's like, no.
You're absolutely right. And that's sort of the thing is that when you're looking at food, if it feels like it's like an addictive behavior, with alcohol, you say never touch another drop of alcohol again. But with food, you can't do that. You still have to eat. And so it becomes a lot more challenging.
Yeah, it really is. And I think culturally, too, there's so much social, like, let's go have lunch. Let's meet for dinner. Let's whatever, fill in the blank. It's always around food.
Yes. Yeah. That's where the challenge is that you need to find other alternatives to be successful in managing life, because life throws all kinds of things to us, and changing your relationship to food.
Yeah. You shared with us of what you like to do in between surgeries instead of grabbing food. Like if you've already had breakfast and you've had a surgery, do you remember what you said?
So when I'm waiting for a patient to show up or in between cases, we used to just drink coffee. As through residency, that's what you do. You basically wait and drink coffee, and then I'd be having 7 cups of coffee a day, which was not good. So I have a Kindle. I like to just sit and read, and it calms me down and it transports me somewhere else. And so I'm calm and relaxed and not chomping at the bit like, let's go, move faster, because there's so many things you want to do in the day, and sitting around waiting is hard.
7 cups of coffee a day. You have a lot of energy. I can only imagine you spinning around.
I don't do that now. Yeah, that was residency. Working 120 hours of a 168-hour week.
Oh, my
It's crazy.
So you emphasize that obesity is a chronic condition and that it often benefits from medical support and therapy. Why is that distinction so important?
So we've known for a very long time that obesity is a chronic disease. And it really does matter because once you understand it's a disease, you stop framing it as a personal failure or lack of willpower. It's not a choice, it's a medical condition. And other chronic diseases are like that and they get proper treatment, and so does obesity. It requires that as well. And it doesn't just affect weight, it impacts nearly every system in the entire body. It's linked to conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, high cholesterol, heart disease, osteoarthritis, serious life-limiting conditions. And the best part is that with the right treatment, whether it's medical, surgical, or a combination of both, we can prevent many of these diseases. We can even put them into remission. And that's really amazing. Weight loss can improve fertility. It can make pregnancy safer for both mom and baby. It significantly decreases the risk of cancer. There's 13 cancers linked to obesity. And studies have shown that we extend people's life expectancies by 8 to 14 years. So it's just really important to understand that it's not just semantics calling it a chronic disease. It really does matter in framing how we treat it, how we talk about it, and how we support patients dealing with it.
And it doesn't help to shame them and saying, well, you didn't do things right. It's like, let's work together and figure out your best path.
Correct, exactly.
You must offer so much hope for these patients.
I mean, when I hear that from patients, it just hits me in the heart. Like, this is what I want to do for them. I love that I get to be there with them through this journey and hold their hand. They have my cell phone. And I love it because they'll text me photos of somewhere that they went and, like, look, I was able to run around or do things that I wasn't able to do before and be with my family and just engage more. And so I love that they're able to participate in their lives like they wanted to before and couldn't because their weight was holding them.
Have you maintained contact with many of them?
We find that lifelong follow-up is really great. So if they start falling off the wagon a little, we can rein them back in. But I love that whole journey. I have patients I've known for 15 years. So it's fantastic.
And so one of the things we deeply appreciate in your work is your focus on health, and not just weight or appearance. But why is the shift in mindset so important to focus on health and not just weight and appearance?
Like, at the end of the day, health is the goal. It's not a number on the scale. It's not how someone looks. What we're trying to do is help people live longer, healthier, more fulfilling lives. And the difference in the quality of their lives is often very dramatic. Many of my patients tell me they feel like they've gotten their lives back. So earlier in my career, I used to do about 50% cancer surgery, 50% metabolic bariatric surgery. And I found that my bariatric surgery patients were just as grateful as my cancer patients. And in both cases, we were giving them their lives back. And the transformation is going beyond weight. Patients talk about finally feeling satisfied with smaller meals. And for the first time, that constant food chatter in their minds quiets down. And that alone can be life-changing. So for me, it's an incredible privilege to be part of that journey, to help people reclaim their health and their lives. I feel like I have the best job in the world. I get hugs every day. I don't take that for granted. I feel so lucky to do what I do.
Let's shift into early childhood habits. So you've said that eating habits formed between ages 2 and 5 can have lifelong impact. Help us understand why this window is so important.
So childhood obesity has become a major health crisis in the United States. So 1 in 5 children and adolescents are affected by obesity. So that's over 14.4 million kids and teens. And it's actually now the most common chronic disease for children. The numbers have tripled since the 80s. So it's incredible. And what's really heartbreaking is that we're seeing adult problems like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure in children and teens. And unfortunately, the risks are higher because of bullying, social harassment that exists in their childhood because of this. So it's sad. And what's fascinating about how the body builds its foundation for weight is that between the ages of 2 and 5, the body can actually create entirely new fat cells. So for adults, weight gain usually means that our existing fat cells just start getting bigger, so inflating like a balloon. But for young children, their bodies actually increase the number of cells that they have. So we're actually creating a permanent new baseline for fat storage. And once those cells are created, they don't just disappear. They set the stage for how the body manages weight for the rest of that child's life. So it's a biological blueprint, and it's hard to rewrite later on. So it's really important.
I'm like, get rid of goldfish crackers immediately. You know, when you think about like all the little snacky foods we hand kids and all that.
Right? I mean, it's amazing that it starts so early.
We've seen students throughout our years, not many, but struggle throughout their whole, from the time they were little, and it doesn't go away. And so what you're saying is just so eye-opening.
So between ages 2 and 5, that's such a critical window. What factors are contributing most to the rise in childhood obesity today? You said it's how much since the 1980s?
So it's been 1 in 5. So it's tripled. It's tripled since the 80s.
So are children born with this disease?
So I think it's a complex mix. So physiology, our environment, and then socioeconomic causes. So dietary patterns, genetics, high amounts of stress, our environment, lack of physical activity, not getting enough good quality sleep, health conditions, medications if they're on them, and then lower socioeconomic status. That all affects and makes all those differences from the way that we eat, our physical activity from 50 years ago is very different than what it is now. So it all is making those changes. Ooh. Heavy conversations.
It is, but it's so important because we want for our people in our lives and for anyone with young children, it starts so young. It makes you rethink how the patterns you're developing at that young age.
Right.
I think so often how we reward children with treats. Yeah. Because it's so fun. And like, who doesn't want to hand a child an ice cream cone or a good-looking cupcake with frosting?
No, and I remember thinking about it because I have a lot of issues around food. I'm not going to lie.
I think everyone does.
I remember when my kids were born thinking, oh, I'm not going to give them goldfish, like you said. They're going to eat sushi. They're going to eat unusual food. They're going to, have these sophisticated palates. My older son eats 5 foods to this day. And so I just thought, and I know that wasn't my fault, but I think to some extent I could have done a better job, but I did the best job I could. I mean, his palate is his palate.
This is not about looking back and figuring out that, oh, I did something wrong. I mean, none of us can be perfect parents. It just doesn't work that way. So you do the best you can. And sometimes your kids are going to be eating the way that they want to eat. So I think just understanding everything in moderation. So I think we will talk a little bit more about rewards and coping and stuff like that. And I think that'll help trying to give some suggestions. But we all try our best. There's just no way. Nobody is a perfect parent. And just because someone's kid eats avocado and broccoli and loves it doesn't mean they're the best parent. I know you're an amazing parent.
Thank you for letting me off the hook because that's been bothering me for over 20 years. You often talk about helping families view food as fuel, and I love this. What does that look like in everyday life with young children? Food as fuel.
I think this is hard because food is emotional. So we eat when we're happy, sad, bored, stressed. In a lot of families and cultures, food equals love. So people show they care by feeding you, and you show that you love them back by eating and going for seconds and finishing everything on your plate. I mean, that's how I was raised in a family of 3 kids. I was always the good girl because I always cleaned my plate. And also, there's starving children, so you have to eat everything on your plate and be grateful. So those habits stick. They're really hard to undo. I even catch myself when people come over, I'm constantly trying to feed them. And that's how I feel like I'm making them feel comfortable or cared for. And again, like you had mentioned, Jenny, we tie food to reward. So good behavior gets cookies or cakes, and celebrations revolve around eating. And it's something most of us have to actively work to change. And it's really just not using food as a reward or a punishment. So no dessert. It's modeling something different for our kids. So maybe a reward becomes an experience instead. So something good happens at school or work, And so we say, oh, we get to go to the park, or we get to play a game or do something fun together. Maybe it's 30 minutes of being fully present with no phone interruption playtime. That's me. I have to put my phone away. An extra 20 pushes on a swing, choosing the family activity, video games together. It's not easy to break the patterns, but once you're aware of them, you can start to shift them little by little.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the most effective routines families can establish early on?
So, great question. Building healthy routines early does really matter, and it doesn't have to be complicated. So 3 kind of big ones I'm sure everyone's heard about, reducing screen time. So you want to try and limit the amount of TV and devices where you can. You want to encourage physical activity, make sure your kids get plenty of active play, especially outside. You want to improve diet. So cut back on sugary drinks, fried foods, juice. Focus more on balanced meals, healthy snacks, fridge snacks instead of pantry snacks. And then beyond that, it just comes down to modeling again, right? Kids learn by watching us. So the small everyday habits matter. Eating together as a family, that's a big one. But even a few shared meals a week can make a difference. So it's about finding what actually works with you, your life, your schedule. Another important one is just avoiding mindless eating, especially in front of the TV. When we're distracted, we don't notice how much we're eating. So we miss out on our body's I'm full signals. We almost always eat more than we realize. Portioning helps too. So putting big serving dishes or a big pizza box right in front of you, you don't want to do that. So plate a reasonable portion of food in your kitchen and then step away. So when the food is sitting right in front of us, we tend to keep reaching for more. Our eyes are often bigger than our stomachs. So if you're still hungry, go back for more. Focus on the lean proteins and the vegetables. And then finally, just sort of listening, like practice listening to your body. When you feel full, stop. Push your plate away. So even something as simple as putting a napkin over your plate can help signal that you're done, right? So you don't keep picking at it 10 minutes later. You finish and then you leave your plate and then you keep picking at it. So, I mean, none of this has to be perfect. Just these small little habits done consistently can add up over time.
I'd heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it takes 15 minutes for your stomach to signal to the brain that you're full. Is that
yes. So, okay. I mean, for a lot of, I guess, the average person, 15, 20 minutes signals will be sent to the brain. Unfortunately, as people put on weight, there's a delayed signaling. So for some people, it takes an hour, hour and a half. And so that's why they just keep eating. And a lot of patients say, like, I just stopped because I know I need to stop, but I'm still hungry. And it's a signaling has changed.
So I did not know that, Mona. That's so interesting because sometimes when I haven't had food, I've waited too long.
Right.
And I'll finish my portion. I'm like, I am still hungry.
Right.
And maybe I've waited too long, but maybe it's also
You may have eaten faster too, right? Because you're so hungry, right? So, and we don't want to do that. So we want to
slow it down.
Yeah. Small, frequent meals. That is the goal. You want to just, even if it's just a little snack, if you haven't eaten all day, I carry protein bars in my pockets everywhere because I'm always on the go. Just eat half, put it in a little Ziploc bag, and then run around and eat a little bit more and keep your metabolism burning, but you're also not starving.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite protein bar?
Oh, you know what? There's so many good ones out there. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug somebody.
No, I'm always looking for one because, of course, I love the ones that are like chocolate peanut butter fudge brown. I'm like, I don't know how good this is.
Yeah, you can read the labels, right? Okay, so a lot of the ones out there, you want to make sure that the balance is, somewhere around 10 to 1. So if it's around 200 calories, you should be getting at least 20 grams of protein, somewhere around there. So there's a lot of good ones out there, but just know you don't have to finish the entire protein bar. So most are around 200 calories for about 10 grams of protein, the ones that taste good. I don't like the ones that have that weird aftertaste. So
yes,
the high protein ones sometimes just taste weird. So just eat half and then drink something with it.
Okay.
And that's the key. So you only take 100 calories, you drink, you're full. It's actively stopping yourself because you can get the whole one down, but you don't need it, right? So it's little things.
Okay, so 200 calories, you should have 20 grams of protein and only eat half.
Yeah.
That takes some discipline, but I think I can do it.
You can.
I challenged me. I like it.
You mentioned that you grew up in a household where you had to clean your plate, and many of us grew up hearing that. Finish everything on your plate. So what would you say to parents? What do you want them to understand about that approach?
Don't do it. So kids' stomachs are about the size of their fist, not your fist. So you need to be aware of that when you load their plates. As adults, leaving one bite of food on your plate is actually a really good habit to have. And working on eating the healthy stuff first is also really important. That should be your priority. And because there's always room for a couple bites of carbs or dessert afterwards, we can always find that. But definitely do not force your child to eat beyond their I'm full signal.
It's bringing up a lot for me. I have to say, like, I'm thinking a lot about like what I experienced as a child. And I remember my grandmother, Sicilian grandmother, we would go to her house every Thursday and she had basically a buffet on the table. So plates were never prepared.
Right.
You just had your empty plate and all the food was on the table. And there was always pasta first. So pasta before the main meal. And that was actually served to you. And when I was about 16, I would start to say, Grandma, I'm going to skip the pasta and just eat. And she would say to me, you're going to get fat anyway. You might as well eat the pasta.
Oh my goodness.
And that stayed in my mind my whole life. And it just hurts. It hurts my heart when I think about it,
Right.
because I was trying to like make an effort to monitor it myself.
Right.
And, I had no support at home.
Yeah, it's cultural,
It's
right?
cultural. And it was, my grandmother, again, was feeding us because that's what she loved to do. And it made her feel good. And that's what we do.
Right.
But it really can also send messages to younger people about their habits.
And we have to actively work to change, rewrite our brains in how we think.
Yeah. And I know she didn't mean that.
So
but
she
it was,
loved you.
Yeah.
She was making that food because she loved you. And so it's just really hard that your takeaway wasn't positive like she wanted it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about how we can help children find ways to celebrate and cope that don't revolve around food. What are some healthy alternatives families can introduce?
Yeah, this is, I think, really helpful. So we've been conditioned to think celebration means cake, sadness means ice cream. So if we want to change that, we have to change the reward system. So the goal is to move the hit of dopamine from the stomach to an experience. So for celebration, maybe instead of a menu for takeout food, maybe have a special activity menu. So you get the child to pick from a menu of experiences. So maybe that's staying up an extra 30 minutes where they get to pick a game that you guys have to play or a show you get to watch, or they get to pick where you're going to go on Saturday. The yes hour. I haven't done this, but for 1 hour, within reason, a parent says yes to any play activity the child suggests. If it's coping, so your child had a bad day or they scraped their knee, instead of getting a treat to feel better, you have other options. So to process their emotions. So for coping, if they need that physical release, sometimes shaking out the grumpy. So 5 minutes of a living room dance party or a walk or a bike ride helps to burn off that cortisol from the stress. A comfort kit. So it's like a box of non-food items, so weighted blankets and fidget toys and a specific book that only comes out when they need that mental reset. And then validation really matters, right? Sometimes just sitting on the floor with them on their level saying, that really sucked, didn't it? Really, that can be more fulfilling than a cookie. So really that verbal affirmation saying, you did such a great job, instead of saying, well, let's go for pizza. I saw how hard you worked on this, and I'm so proud of you on how much time and energy and effort you put into that. That specific praise, it just builds a sense of self-worth that doesn't require a sugar high to feel good. It's just building ways to make kids feel celebrated and supported by people instead of pantry items.
And that starts at a young age and throughout our whole life. There's nothing better than some of these alternatives because, you think, oh, I'll have a quart of ice cream, and then you feel like garbage later. So you're looking at long term.
Right. I mean, kids don't really notice, but us as adults, we feel guilty after. So that whole reward was like, oh, that's so great.
I love the pause factor too. Take a beat.
Yeah.
Don't reach for the cookie. Take a beat and think about what else could you do.
Right.
No.
And I'm not saying that you can never have ice cream and you can never have a cookie. We want balance. We're not saying never do dessert. but just every once in a while, not every single day or after every single meal or every single reward. It's just balance.
Yeah, rethinking a bit.
We've heard this often from parents and adults, is that food is rarely just about hunger. What do you think about that?
Exactly. Really good point. Usually it's less about being hungry and more about emotional eating or the environment. So there's a reason why many of us reach for sweets and carbs when things get stressful. It's not just a craving. It actually triggers an endorphin release in the brain. It's a chemical hit that makes us feel better in the moment. So these triggers we want to be aware of. And so eating while watching TV, boredom eating, stressed eating, when you're tired, we eat. The visual trap, right? If there's a bowl of cookies or crackers or candy on a table in front of us, our brain goes, I think I need that. So even though you're full, you still want to eat it. So once you're aware that it's happening, we now have the power to step in and start changing that behavior.
It's almost like you need to have a little bit of a game plan. Like your suggestions are so helpful because in the moment, if there's a bowl of peanut M&Ms, there's a good chance that my hand's going in there a couple of times.
Oh, yes, definitely. For me, it's donuts. Donuts near me. I am a donut monster, my son says. Yeah, I'm like Homer Simpson and donuts.
The big pink round ones.
Yes.
When someone is struggling, what are some common food triggers that you see?
So the triggers that we kind of talked about, the boredom, the watching TV, the stressed and tired and all that kind of stuff. You want to take a minute and ask yourself some honest questions. What do I do when I'm stressed? What do I do that makes me feel better? How do I reward my kids or myself? Where does food and drink show up in these moments? So when you see a pattern, you can start thinking about alternatives, things that you or your kids genuinely enjoy that aren't tied to food, right? And it's really, this is the important part. It's baby steps, right? So you want to pick one small thing to change, just one. Trying to overhaul everything at once usually backfires. So for example, if you usually skip meals, you want to try planning. Maybe a quick protein shake in the morning, keeping a cooler in your car with Greek yogurt or protein drinks or flavored water so you're not stuck making last minute choices. If food is your go-to reward, you want to swap it out gradually. So maybe instead of cookies, keeping frozen grapes or a healthy smoothie with fruits and vegetables, or again, making a reward an activity, playing a game that your child loves, going for a walk, extra park time. For yourself, it might be uninterrupted time with a book, going for a walk on your own or with a friend, a few minutes of meditation, mindfulness apps, whatever, or listening to a great podcast by Jenny and Kristine.
Yeah, there you go.
So you want to start with something small and build from there. It's not about perfection, right? So you just want to be aware.
Just those small changes all add up.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
But how do you guide parents to begin without feeling overwhelmed? Because it's like we said earlier, it's just something else that parents have to do. And it's very important, but it's overwhelming.
So start with one thing you can change, do that for a few weeks, and then add another. So if you don't drink enough water, start by getting a cute water bottle and then carry your water bottle or flavored water everywhere you go. You can steep like lemon and mint and cucumber in the fridge or whatever fruits you like, and then fill water bottles and take it everywhere you go. So it's just one small change, incorporate it into daily life, and then add another. Just small little changes. You don't have to be perfect right away.
What do you wish more people understood about how food actually fuels the body?
Every time you eat, you're sending signals that affect hormones, metabolism, inflammation, energy levels, even how the brain functions. So for example, protein helps preserve muscle and keeps you full for longer. Fiber supports gut health and stabilizes blood sugar. And healthy fats play a role in hormone regulation. On the flip side, highly processed foods can disrupt these signals, leading to more hunger, energy crashes, and metabolic dysfunction. So your body is constantly trying to maintain a balance. So when you give it nutrient-dense whole foods, it works with you. Energy is steady, hunger cues make more sense, and your overall health improves. But when the quality of food is poor, the system becomes dysregulated. So instead of thinking about food as something to restrict or control, think of it as something that powers and communicates with your body. So when you understand that, the conversation moves away from blame and towards biology. And that's where meaningful, sustainable change happens, right?
Gosh. I was thinking what you were saying, the good foods, the protein, the fiber, and the high fat.
Right.
And when I've had those times where I'm like, I just want carbs.
Right. But everything in moderation, right?
Everything
so
in
be
moderation.
aware of what you eat, read the
Yes.
labels, right?
Read the labels.
So, for adults and children who have learned to use food as comfort or reward, what are some healthier alternatives to begin introducing?
So I think this is again where we have to show our kids by modeling the behavior, how we manage our relationship to food. So when we have a bad day, we go for a walk or play a game or quiet time or activities or spending time doing things together that you enjoy, right? Making gigantic bubbles in the park that your child can chase, right? So if you're adventuresome, maybe a science experiment with a bottle of Coke and Mentos. Meditation, talking to a friend, watching a show. So I think a lot of it is just modeling that behavior, helping them find other alternatives.
Right. So, when we're stressed out, what's our go to?
Right?
I had a hard day. I'm not going to get a piece of cake. I'm going to say, let's all go for a walk. It'll make me feel better. And
Correct. I mean, we see that on TV shows as well. You'll see someone had a really hard day and they always go for their glass of wine. And that's it's not a great modeling behavior. You just want to be aware that they are constantly watching us.
Yes. I'm wondering, does your son watch you read labels?
He does.
Great label reader, by the way.
I remember once, it's funny. I remember there was like a Johnny Appleseed Day, I think, at
In
school.
first grade?
Yes. And one of the moms, like we were in these mom chats, and one of the moms said, one of the kids calculated all the calories of all the snacks that the kids got. And I put my hand up. I'm like, that was my kid. It's like, there's 1,800 calories in all these snacks that they've given us. So I just thought that was hilarious. But it was just easier for me to have that conversation with him of understanding what's in the foods we're eating. Because I don't want to just always say, no, can I have this? No, can I have this? No. Well, I didn't want to be the bad guy. So I just said, look at what we're eating. Like, look what's in the food we're eating. We want you to be healthy. So I did teach him that. I mean, having two metabolic bariatric surgeons as parents has got to be challenging for my poor child.
But I think that's such great modeling because so often, I know for me, sometimes those pantry items, the list is 1,400 ingredients. You can't pronounce half of them. So
No.
you're like, I don't know what I'm eating in this, but it sure tastes good.
Right.
So going to the refrigerator, fresh produce.
It's also hard because food is challenging and lobbyists actually change, how society is talking about food, right? And so we are told, well, this is healthy, but it may not necessarily be good for you. So for example, nuts, right? So nuts are supposed to be healthy or energy snacks like dried fruits and nuts and things like that. But like a small handful is about 300 calories. You need to be aware of nuts are very high in fat. Yes, they do have protein in it and they're okay. But if you're trying to control your weight, that may not be the best snack. And fruits, for example, fruits are good and in moderation, but fruits are broken down into sugar, which turns into fat. So if you're trying to lose weight, that may not be the best choice. Vegetables are amazing. So those are great. But just sort of being aware that organic or healthy, in quotation mark, foods may not be the best thing for you. Mangoes are great. Avocados are great, but half of it is 300 calories. You need to be aware of what you're eating.
We need to become better label readers right now. Oh, well, let's talk about when to seek professional help. I think so often we think we can solve this. I can go on the internet, I can read books, and I can change things. But let's talk about when an individual or family should consider reaching out to a medical professional related to weight and eating patterns.
So for children, you want to be making sure that you're going for routine visits to your pediatrician. They are tracking the height and weight over time, of your child. So they can actually spot trends early and they can offer guidance in a supportive and preventable way. So the focus shouldn't be on labeling your child, but rather on building healthy habits, nutrition, activity, sleep, overall well-being. For adults, if you feel like you're struggling, whether it's with weight or eating patterns or related health issues, that's the time to reach out. These challenges are not simply about willpower. Again, they're rooted in biology and metabolism. And as I've said before, obesity is a chronic disease, and there are now many safe, effective, and evidence-based options available, so you don't have to navigate it alone. getting the right support can make a meaningful difference in both the health and quality of your life.
It's like what you said earlier, moving from blame to biology, right?
Right.
So it's not failure. It's just more information.
Correct.
I want to talk about who's on the care team. What types of professionals might be part of a supportive care team?
So there's a lot of people out there that can help. So we have the medical professionals, the medical internists, right? Dietitians, psychologists, surgeons. There's even exercise physiologists and social workers. It really just depends on your needs. There's so many people out there to help you reach your goals.
Okay. And then, all right. But start with perhaps a bariatric doctor?
Someone who specializes in weight is really ideal. Right. Because the internet, like you said, has a lot of information out there, but you want to go to a healthcare professional.
Yes.
You want evidence-based information, not just what you see on social media, facts-based in research to help you give you sound advice and help you reach your goals.
All right. Very good. Is there anything that maybe we haven't covered today that I want to make sure that we have?
You were asking me about was mental health. And I think mental health is a really large part of our relationship to food. So people do better when their mental health is addressed as well. And so that's why it's always part of what we do as surgeons. So, because food is not just about nutrition. It's an activity. There's a huge emotional component. So increased stress, not enough sleep, coping mechanisms, mental health is important in dealing with all of these things. So we need to look at ourselves as a whole package, address all the components and potential stressors to be successful.
So I'm assuming there's lots of mental health professionals who specialize in obesity or eating disorders or just food in general.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there, and this is their specialty because so many people are affected by this. You're not alone. I mean, that's a really big message to get out there is that you're not alone. Mm-hmm. There are so many people who struggle like you are, and there's help.
Yeah. I would imagine there's really nice support groups too.
Yes, there's a lot of great support groups, and then you don't feel alone. So you just need to find the right one for you.
Okay. Very good. What is one hopeful message you want families to remember about building lifelong healthy habits?
You want to start with baby steps. One small thing you can add or change to live healthier lives. And there are so many resources available to help you and your family. You just need to reach out.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
great.
So hopeful.
So hopeful. So we have a little speed round, fun speed round.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Mona, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning person.
What's your favorite quick, healthy meal?
So on the go, protein bars. Mm-hmm. When I have time, I have actually found protein noodles. I love
noodles.
There's this brand, it's called Asha, A-S-H-A. They're protein noodles. They have like 10 or 12 grams of protein. It's 190 calories. So it actually tastes really good.
Really?
I'm going to get Asha noodles, right?
You buy them online.
There you go, even better. What's your go-to stress reset?
I like reading my Kindle, music while driving in my car, binge watching TV on the weekends. My life is so much easier than the life of a superhero or someone being chased by assassins. So it just makes me feel better.
Nice. What is one wellness habit you never skip?
So I'm going to say for me, something I can't skip is decompressing my day, talking to my best friend. And I'm so lucky my best friend is my husband. So
who happens to do exactly what you do.
Yeah, so he totally gets it. So I kind of vomit my day at him. And then he sorts through it, and then I feel better about everything. And I also try and I always talk to myself, like checking in, and I remember to be grateful for everything I have in my life. If I'm a mess, I'm no good to anybody. So I just kind of check in with myself and see what I need. If I need 5 minutes to just read a book or take a breath before I walk into the house. You just need a second to just listen to yourself. I think self-care really matters. We try so hard. We work so hard. And so I've started doing that a little bit more.
Good.
Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
Remember the 7 cups in residency?
Yeah, but I just...
That's all. And how much coffee do you recommend?
1 to 2 cups a day.
Okay, good.
Max, yeah. I don't drink past 3, so the coffee.
1 to 2 cups. I've heard that, but my mugs keep getting bigger and bigger.
Right? Yeah, that's how you do 1 to 2. Mine is mostly like the creamers anyway. They taste like candy. It's like liquid candy with a little bit of coffee.
Is that what you do? I know. I always say I'm having cake now.
Right?
My coffee.
Mona, you've left us with so much to think about.
Yeah.
Really, this has just been so educational and eye-opening. Jenny and I always like to share what we've learned from you. What's our big little lesson?
I've taken notes and I've been rummaging through. There were so many good things. It always comes back to what we always teach in kindergarten. You start at the beginning. You're kind to yourself. And just starting with one step is the first, being aware of perhaps some habits that we get into. And I think about, like yesterday, I was binge watching this show, The Traders, which was really fun. And I was just mindlessly eating popcorn. But I know that I don't normally watch TV or eat while I'm watching TV, but I did yesterday. That's my big little lesson, is just being aware, taking some small lessons.
It's okay, though.
Okay, good.
You hardly ever do it. It's okay.
Okay,
Forgive
okay.
yourself.
Okay, well, thank you. How
Well,
about
yeah,
you, Kristine?
Those go hand in hand. I also have a lot of notes in front of me. I feel like what you were talking about at the beginning, which is choosing your battles and understanding what takes priority when it needs to take priority and what you can let go of, not having to be perfect at everything. And you don't make soup, you buy soup, just as an example. So I feel like so many of us, and women, I think in particular, really feel like they have to do everything well. Mm-hmm. We see little people who feel like they have to do everything well. And it's hard for them to learn that lesson of understanding that you can't do everything well. You do some things amazingly well and other things you're going to learn. And that's great. And that's okay. So choosing your battles and knowing your limits and not saying yes to everything. So thank you for that reminder.
I actually think it made me remember, like you had told my son this, is that we have to make mistakes and fail sometimes. And that's how we learn. And everyone does it. And we just get better. We just learn from those things, but it has to happen. That's part of growth. So
That is.
So you guys impart a lot of wisdom on us. So
Well, and I have to add, as you were talking, Kristine, the big lesson really is continued compassion towards those who are having this chronic disease,
Right.
and to come alongside them with compassion and collaboration, because it's still a big stigma in our country and in this world.
Thank you for that, Jenny. Yeah.
Well, we like to always have a little optional homework. And this week, listeners, we'd like you to notice hunger versus emotional triggers.
And maybe also like nudging towards one small healthy shift, like one little thing. You know, I like the image of opening up my refrigerator and seeing water pitchers filled with cucumbers. That was a really good one.
It is amazing when you add a little mint and cucumber or orange, lemon juice.
yeah,
My husband doesn't drink. He doesn't like the taste of water. So that's the only way and I'm going to make a bigger effort to just have a pitcher in my fridge because he puts lemon, but I think I'm going to stretch it a little bit.
Yeah, make it really like spa-like water.
nice.
Well, Mona, thank you. You were amazing, and you're helping us take care of our bodies in such a truly compassionate way. And it's a lifelong journey.
Thank you so much for having me here, you guys. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
We've enjoyed it so much. And always remember, big little lessons are everywhere.
You can find us on Instagram at Teach Big Little Lessons, or email is teachbiglittlelessons@gmail.com.
Yes, we love to hear from you.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you.
Until next time.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.